Okay, this video will be some tips and suggestions on do-it-yourself water damage cleanup. It's not going to be all-inclusive, but give you a few tips on water damage cleanup if you're trying to do it yourself. One question right off the bat is, are you sure you want to do it yourself? Or why are you trying to do it yourself? There's two practical scenarios of why you might want to try to do it yourself. One is the amount of water damage is really small, that relative or compared to the amount of your deductible, that it's not going to be worth it to use your insurance and go full service. The other scenario is there may not be insurance coverage. Either the property doesn't have any coverage whatsoever, or the water was from a source that's not covered under the policy, and so it's not a covered event. A lot of policies do not cover water when it comes from the outside, especially if it was floodwaters, surface waters, groundwaters. So there are a few limitations to where there could be damage and it's not covered by insurance, or that's not an option. A lot of it is labor, and the labor you can do by yourself. Extraction and lifting carpet, removing padding, extracting the carpet again. That's just labor. You may not have the best extraction equipment, but get the padding out from under the carpet, extract repeatedly, and you can get some reasonable results. If the carpet is old enough, you may make a choice to not try to dry the carpet, to dispose of it and get it out of the way. There are some limitations of what you can do yourself, though, and you only have one chance to get it right. If you don't dry things timely enough and it develops mold, then you've got a lot more damage than what you had to begin with or originally. So even if you do it yourself, consider hiring a water damage contractor to come in, use their meters, inspect, diagnose, advise you, and tell you what should be done, what needs to be done. In our area, we're happy to go do that for somewhere in the range of $100 to $150. And then you're not assuming, you're not guessing. You've had a professional with experience and with all the tools and meters and everything tell you and show you and point to you exactly what needs to be done. Baseboards may or may not need to come out. Drywall may or may not need to be cut and removed. Insulation may or may not be wet and may need to come out. There may or may not be vapor barriers in walls and in areas that affect how and why things will dry. The paint may be permeable enough that a wall will dry without being too invasive, but it may not. The paint on that wall may act like a vapor barrier. Wallpapers oftentimes act like a vapor barrier. It may or may not dry. There may be all sorts of materials that are wet and they're not apparent or not obvious. And how do you know they're wet? Unless you have experience and training and moisture meters and tools to detect the moisture, you don't know. So you can do the labor part of it yourself, but don't try to be the know-all and diagnose and do the prescription yourself. Spend a few dollars and have somebody hold your hand, coach you, advise you, so that you don't miss stuff and do it wrong and make things worse and have a lot more damage. The labor you can do yourself. And in a self-pay situation, a company like ours, we're very willing to make discounts on equipment, tips on the minimum amount of equipment you can get by with, show you, if we've been on site, we can point exactly where and how the fan should be positioned. So yeah, the labor you can do yourself, but don't try to diagnose it yourself.